What makes the web work?
Information and academics.
Passion.
I think it's information.
Electricity.
I think the web works on trust.
Developers.
Connected humans.
We do.
The people.
It's the people.
Totally people.
People make the web work.
Hello and welcome to Web Sessions by Pantheon. We're here at WordCamp US 2025 in Portland, Oregon. I am Chris Reynolds, Senior Developer Advocate at Pantheon, and I am here today with someone I can call a friend and also the Queen, Her Majesty, the Queen of Ladonia, Queen Carolyn. Welcome, Queen. Yes, Queen. Tell us about why the Queen of Ladonia I guess the question that we're asking everyone, we'll start with that, is we're asking everybody what makes the web work. I know that we've talked on my podcast about your background and your introduction and how you became the Queen of Ladonia. So we'll get into the Ladonia stuff in a second. But what makes the web work, Your Majesty?
Well, so I was telling you earlier that I feel like that's a very layered question. It depends on what you mean by work. Like if you mean technically function, that's one thing. If you mean the economy of it and what causes money to be made, which is what perpetuates it, that's a different question. I would say that so I would say that revenue is largely made by advertising, so it would be consumerism is what makes the web work in general. Technically, though, the growth is, I don't know, it's got to be money at this point in time. Originally, it was information and academics and the dissemination of data, and it was all very exciting to have all of this access to all of this information. But I think very quickly the consumerism took over. And that's really kind of where we're at now.
That's a very sad and cynical answer to the question.
Well, I was there in the beginning,
yeah.
and I remember when
the web was weird.
When you had links because you were linking to other information, not linking to people, hoping they would link back to you so that it would build up your authority so that you'd rank higher on Google.
Right. And obviously, you that linking back is relevant to you, not in your queenly capacity, but in your capacity as a principal SEO at Yoast.
That's true.
Which is actually possibly the real reason why you're here, because I wondered.
I feel like I would have shown up anyway, because I've got some people here that I like to hang with, and I legitimately bought the Queen's ticket to WordCamp before the ticket on behalf of Yoast was secured, so I was probably going to come hang out with my people anyway.
Oh, good. So we talked about like back in when the web was weird, which I feel like is part of the story of Ladonia.
Yeah.
Can you sort of like share in a shortish story how we're talking about Your Majesty, the Queen of Ladonia. There's a lot of people that don't know what a Ladonia is, or who the Ladonian people are. There's 30,000 people that are like citizens of Ladonia, but how did you get to be the queen?
Okay, so again, very layered question. So in the very beginning, there was an artist who almost drowned in the ocean in Sweden. People in Sweden swim in the ocean. Pulled himself ashore, and one of the things that is an old seafaring tradition is that if you almost die at sea, you make some sort of offering to God to celebrate that you didn't die. So he started building something with what he had on hand, and it was driftwood. Started working on this sculpture, worked on it for literally 2 years before the authorities noticed. By the time the authorities noticed, it was like 75 tons, and it was this labyrinth down the side of a mountain. So this is about 1982 that they found it. The Swedish government took him to court and fought with him for like 15 years. Went all the way up to the Swedish Supreme Court. Ultimately, he was not found criminally liable for this, and Sweden failed to tear down the structure. And if you look at law, 9/10 of the law is possession, right? Sweden failed to exercise their authority on this land and could not exercise their authority on this land. Therefore, it wasn't their land, according to him. So he and a group of artists and lawyers in the area declared that land sovereign in 1996. Over the course of the next year, they got about 1,000 citizens. But in 1997, they got a website. And once they had a website, and it went global, and we went from acquiring, dribs and drabs of citizens every year to thousands of citizens every year, which is why we've grown. I mean, we don't accept everyone that applies, but we're growing at about 1,000 citizens a year. 1,000, yeah, that's right. And that's how the internet helped, though. So once micronations, and because Ladonia is not the only micronation, Sealand, I'm sure you've heard of that. Liberland is a newer one. And Sealand was actually the reason I found out about Ladonia.
Yeah, I remember Sealand being the Pirate Bay was going to be relocated onto Sealand.
Pirate Bay tried to buy Ladonia too.
Okay.
Yeah, so they failed they failed getting into Sealand, and they were going to take over Ladonia. They were going to implode it or something. I forget what the story was.
How would they
there.
put servers in this square kilometer of land
tried to
by the
that
beach?
Out. Yeah, we're like, you can try to invade, but I don't know what you're trying to do here. It's kind of a waste of time. But so Sealand was on the cover of Wired magazine. My ISP was in that issue. That's kind of how I fell down the rabbit hole and found it. But that's how the internet helped me find Ladonia and help Ladonia find all of its citizens, basically. So how did I become queen? That was the next part of the question.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I became a citizen in around 2000. I was aware of it as early as 97. I wanted to be a citizen, but I didn't have money to to get a title of nobility because I was broke. So I applied to be a citizen in like 1999, and part of the citizenship application is you have to contribute your creativity. And I wrote like this 20-page business case on why Ladonia should annex Gary, Indiana. And I researched this is all the reasons why this would be a prime candidate for taking over. Indiana doesn't want it anyway. These are the legal mechanisms for how you can actually go about getting the state to cede the land and then getting federal approval. And I wrote all that up and I sent it in, and they wrote back and they said, "We're going to approve your citizenship, but we loved your application. Would you like to be a cabinet minister?" And I'm like,
you do.
And I'm like, well, okay. So I became a cabinet minister, and I was a cabinet minister from 2000 until 2011.
And what was your title?
I was the Minister of Customizations and Gary.
Customizations and Gary.
And Gary. Very important to add the Gary part. In 2010, the queen we had, because I'm not the first queen. We say that she disappeared until I realized that saying someone disappeared, it has very different connotations in other situations.
She wasn't disappeared as a verb.
Yes. She more like she ghosted us. Like she kind of decided she didn't want to do it anymore and just wouldn't return phone calls. So the cabinet exercised their constitutional prerogative to have her abdicated in absentia, which the Constitution then says if there's a vacancy on the throne, you have an election to elect a new queen. And you can take nominations from the cabinet. It must be a citizen who is a woman. And then you have the general election for that.
So any Ladonian citizen could vote for queen?
Yes. Any Ladonian citizen can run as long as you're a female, and everyone gets to vote. So there were 5 people running. Angelina Jolie was also nominated, but I petitioned to have her removed from the ballot on the grounds that she was not a citizen, which was valid. We all did our little campaign speeches. I won, and I went to Sweden, and I was crowned, and there was media in attendance, and it was all very exciting. And I've been the queen since 2011, and we're actually now celebrating my Crystal Jubilee, which is my 15th year on the throne.
Yeah, and I feel like the story of Ladonia, and particularly like the website being a really big part of it, is part of like the story of the internet, and like you being here and being queen of Ladonia is like in many ways tied to the weirdness of the web and I know that Steve Persh said earlier about talked a little bit about making the web weird, or that the web isn't weird enough, or back in the 90s when it was young,
It was crazy.
Yeah. So I feel like it's really fun that that there is a Ladonia to be a queen of, and you can apply for citizenship. What does the citizenship process look like? Because I'm actually waiting for the approval for my citizenship.
So there's an application process. There's some essay questions. I'm not going to lie, there are essay questions. And they are read. So please don't use ChatGPT to answer them, because we can tell. And don't be too flippant in your answers. It'll ask for things like contribute a phrase in Latin. And I get that a lot of people just go with the standards, but if you come up with something particularly rude or inconsiderate, we might reject that on the grounds that you are clearly not serious. But we do research on people. We make sure they're real people. We make sure they have some understanding that you're not going to be able to immigrate to Europe, and you're not going to get travel documents. We make sure you understand what you're getting into. And then you get a little digital citizenship certificate. And if you chose to, at the time of your application, make a small donation, there are titles of nobility available. And if you do get a title of nobility, then you also get a paper certificate in the mail that's been hand-signed by the Queen. And it's suitable for framing. So
Excellent. And so the reason why I found that you were even here was, if you show everyone your badge, I was looking through the attendees list like you do, and I happened to see Queen Carolyn of Ladonia, and that's what sent me down my rabbit hole of learning about Ladonia, inviting you onto the podcast that I run, Community and Code, which you can go download now. And but where besides listening to my podcast personally, can people find you on the internet?
So you can find the Queen on X. We have it's Queen_Ladonia on X. We have 3 other X accounts, I think. The newspaper has one.
The Ladonian Herald.
The Ladonia Herald. And then Ladonia Info is just kind of the general X account. But we have some ministers who also have independent X accounts. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook public group, and then there's a private citizens only group.
Okay.
But there's a Facebook page that anyone can follow. And then we have the Ladonia Herald, which is our newspaper. So basically, if you search for Ladonia, you're probably going to find me, but you also might find some anime Hetalia role players, and I would avoid. I'm sure they're very nice people, but not representative of the rest of the group.
Well, thank you very much for coming to our booth here at WordCamp US, Queen Carolyn, Your Majesty. We'll see you elsewhere. We'll see you on the internet. Happy interneting.
Thank you.